So it was a jam-packed championship weekend of schoolboy football in Jamaica with 4 of the remaining 5 titles decided Friday and Saturday. In this segment, we'll focus on the rural area finals held at the National Stadium on Saturday. In the curtain raiser, the Ben Francis knockout final, St. Elizabeth Technical captured a record equaling 7th crown by beating Clarendon College by 3-1 to end an 8-year title drought. Let's hear from losing coach Lenworth Teacher Hyde, followed by Omar Rambo Wedderburn of Stets.
Much is the game, you know. This year we've been in and out with players. We lost some players last year. Most of our team we lost last year. So we brought in a new set of players this year. And we went up to the DaCosta Cup where we got knocked out. And after that game, we cut down the squad again and we brought up some of the under-16 players to play in this competition. So you see most of the under-16 players that we have out there today.
As I said before, I can talk about the game after the fact. And as you can see, we are the defenders of the St. Elizabeth, you know, and look at us in blue. It's a pleasure. We wear blue today because it's godly, you understand? So we come here today with a lot of heart. And I want to welcome all of our staff to championship, you know. Coach Harrison win championship already. I have Coach Pencil behind me, you know. It's first time we have our new management. So we are really happy, and it's almost a decade now since we win anything at States, and I think this is the way to start, you know.
At the moment, the first time finalists are coming across to meet the team.
The one and only Rambo Wedderburn, the Ben Francis Cup final, then made way for an absolute showstopper. The final of the Issa Water DaCosta Cup between 2023 Ben Francis Cup winners McGraw High and 2-time DaCosta Cup champions Garvey Maceo. Let's relive the spectacle with Donald Oliver.
Highlights are brought to you by KFC, it's finger licking good, and water, land of good and water.
Story of this one, so interesting. Ball over the top in the initial stages. Jim Mitchell with the attempt on target. And no issues there for Garfield Tomlinson. And then Garvey Maceo drilling that one into the side netting. All this in the first half action before the opening goal, which came in the 15th minute. It was good pressing by Davis, winning that one, burying it as well. It was the difference maker in this final for a long period. Good work, good win, good finish. There was power in the shot. He made the difference. Hustling, bustling, scoring. McGraw, they were in dreamland. Long throw for Garvey Maceo. First one on the volley. Second one saved by the goalkeeper, Orlando Griffiths. McGraw, they had the opportunities to, you know. This one, that was a bit of luck. Malik Robinson lunging at that one. Deflected, went away from the target. This attempt wide of the mark. In the second half, there was a slip and then was cleared off the line. That was a massive chance for McGraw High. And Dante Anderson, the number 7, heading that one. And then I think it was McKinley who cleared it off the line. Match saving. Well, definitely in the end, Mitchell again threw on goal. Didn't have the power to go all the way. Took the shot from distance. And no issues there for Tomlinson. And then this header, again Mitchell was a handful. Just couldn't find the target. In the final moments, they tried, they kept trying. The shot coming in from distance from McIntosh. And then in the 90th minute, the difference maker, their number 11 came up with the goal. There he was trying to make some space, got the shot off and scored. In the 7th minute of stoppage time, again, Omarion O'Brien with some brilliant work, getting his 13th goal of the season. And wow. That was that for the end of this game. Shootout was a dramatic one. McIntosh converting. And then that miss, critical. Isaac Mason. Tomlinson has been a major figure in these shootouts. And then the deciding factor, Roger McLaughlin, sending Garvey Maceo to Gloryland.
Those highlights are brought to you by KFC, it's finger licking good, and Water, land of good and water.
And here's McGrath head coach Jermaine Thomas speaking after the game, followed by the ever-electric Lester Hibbert of Garvey Maceo.
Tough one, but let me commend the team first. I thought they played well and they acquitted themselves well. We scored first, but I thought today the whole trick worked because once Devon was out, it was always going to be difficult for us. But nevertheless, they fought, and they fought gallantly. But Devon, I think he was taken out, but that's football, that's the nature of football. And we're not going to make any excuses, but I thought today, I mean, we turned up and we played, and we showed Jamaica that, guess what? This little school from Linstead, can compete at the highest level, and we showed them that 7 minutes at a time. We held it 6+, lapse in concentration at the back, and we paid for it. But the guys stood tall and they played extremely well, and I'm indeed proud of them.
Just believe. That one has to do with a passion. And even the celebration, I got a scar. So that's for the Cuban family and the people that never gave up in us. Truly, a true believer is a real believer, don't it? Right. So we did it. So as we said earlier, it just has to do with passion and the history. And being past students of the institution, that's what drives us, that's what brings out the passion in us for us to keep on going over and over again. When people think that time is out, trust me, God never stopped the time on us. The rain is falling, that showers of blessing. Right now, big up to SportsMax, big up to the lively viewers who are here watching us. This one is for believing in us.
Our football analyst and prediction guru, Leger Williams, joining us to discuss the weekend's action. Congrats to Garvey Maceo on a fantastic win. It's one of those moments that you dream of in sport, because one moment a team is getting ready to celebrate a marvelous championship title, and then in the blink of an eye things go haywire and they end up losing on penalties. Jermaine Thomas, a wretched evening for him for sure. Enduring at the moment some terrible times with his Malines team. He's the head coach of the Malines JPL team. They've lost, I think, 9 of their 13 matches. This was an opportunity for Jermaine to have a smile on his face. He took the defeat well, though, Lige. Post-match, you heard him, praising the quality of his team's performance and so on. But he did suggest that he thought that his star player, Devon Davis, was targeted and taken out of the game.
Yeah, there were a few rough tackles on him. He went down on a couple of occasions before he eventually was taken out, because there was like a 5 to 6 minute stretch where McGrath, at the end of the first half, were playing with 10 men while Davis was getting treatment, and then he came out in the second half, tried to play on through the injury, but the first bit of contact that he would have endured in the second half, he had to come off. So it was always going to be difficult, as Coach Thomas said, because they don't really have that spark, especially on the transition, and McGrath were trying to play on the transition for most of the game. So, yeah, it was always going to be difficult without Davis. And in the end, it all came down to 2 moments. So I think generally it was a very even game, and either side wouldn't have been able to complain too much if either team won. Yeah.
Do you think McGrath would have won if they had Davis for the entire 90 minutes?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't. Yeah. I wouldn't go as far to say that, because Garvey Maceo still were controlling the play. They were the team pushing for an equalizer, but Davis could have helped McGrath on the transition and added a bit of quality when they broke forward. So possibly, but I'm not quite sure.
All season I've been impressed with Lester Hibbert's handling of this Garvey Maceo team, and it's very, very clear, Leger, that he has a kind of a spark that just electrifies his players.
Yeah, no, he's a fascinating individual. Like, he's so full of energy. When you see him on the sidelines, you'll see he's sweating the entire game. Every kick of the ball is like he's there asking for the ball as well. Like, he's running up and down the sideline all the time, and that's the energy that was needed in the semi-final, energy that was needed in the final as well. He's a coach that's very in tune with his players. He was at Garvey Maceo beforehand, so he knows all the players and the staff really well. Everyone respects him, and I think it was just a effort of everyone really. They needed that spark. As I said, they got it, and it just came down to moments. In my estimation, the DaCosta Cup final was very even. Both of the teams did what they wanted to do on the pitch. Garvey Maceo, in terms of being very strong defensively through the middle section, they tried to hold the ball a bit better than they did in the semi-final. They did that, and then McGrath eventually, after they got the goal, they started to sit back, invited enough pressure, and then in the end, just a goal out of nothing for Garvey.
Yeah, Garvey Maceo, their third DaCosta Cup title. I mean, one of the things I've learned being here in Jamaica is that a lot of these titles come with a lot of bragging rights, and, you know, the way that these teams set themselves up for the next season and just the matchups and all of that. So what does this mean for Garvey Maceo moving forward and as they get ready now for the new season?
I think it's been a general thing, especially recently. I don't want to say this has always been the case before. Some people from St. James get onto me, or some people from Rossies get onto me, St. Elizabeth get onto me.
They're going to get onto you neither.
Recently, it's been Clarendon in the DaCosta Cup that has been dominant as a parish.
Yeah.
Clarendon College started it off. We've seen Lennon recently as well. We've seen Garvey Maceo now, and Glenmuir. So recently, it's been Clarendon. So as you mentioned, the bragging rights, when it comes on to Garvey Maceo, it's going to be huge because Clarendon College didn't do too well this season, although they are building something good with their young players. Glenmuir were beaten by Garvey Maceo in the semi-final, and then they went on to win the crown. So bragging rights is huge in Clarendon right now, I can definitely guarantee. And I know that there will be a few schools gunning for Garvey Maceo next season, especially if the DaCosta Cup groups were to stay the same, because we would see Glenmuir facing Garvey Maceo probably in the opening game of the DaCosta Cup next season.
Yeah, a brain presser here for you. Is Garvey Maceo the most underrated DaCosta Cup champion that you can think of in recent memory? You think about when they won in 2007. They weren't favorites. They weren't highly favored. When they won in 2021, I don't even know if people rated them that much until the last game or two of the season. And the same thing this year. We spoke about everybody else and just left Garvey Maceo, and here they are winning the title.
I mean, honestly, for majority, obviously, I would have said that I thought that Glenmuir are the best team in the DaCosta Cup.
Which is fair, they probably are.
Yeah, I still do stand by that. But they didn't win the title, of course, so Garvey Maceo, obviously, they will say that they are the best, and rightfully so. But in terms of, for the rest of the season, I was always hearing differing names who would be joining Glenmuir in the final. At times, I heard Central a lot. But for the most part, I was hearing Garvey Maceo in and around the mix, because Garvey Maceo did beat Glenmuir the last game of the group stages as well, albeit a very weak Glenmuir team. But Garvey Maceo was in and around it. I'm with you when you say that they're underrated. I do think they're an underrated team, because I think up until the semi-final, up until they beat Glenmuir, no one was really looking at the quality that they had, when a lot of their players have been having fantastic seasons. Their tactical setup is second to none. Their setup actually against Glenmuir is my second favorite, or top three favorite tactical setups I've seen in schoolboy football this season. When we get to the Manning Cup final, I'll talk to you about my favorite that I've seen so far. So I think they're a very well-coached team, a team with a lot of talent. Yeah. They are underrated, as you would have alluded to, but they're worthy winners for sure.
Yeah, and quickly before we get to all the nerd stuff in the next segment, the Craig Butler effect, what's happening? Because now every coach that does an interview has his entire cast there with him. We saw it from Garvey Maceo. We saw it from St. Elizabeth Technical. I'm not sure who else, but I've seen it elsewhere as well. And as far as I'm concerned, that was started by Craig Butler. What's happening?
I mean, Craig Butler is a visionary and a pioneer, so people are probably taking a lot of inspiration. So, yeah, it just happens. But it's a good thing. I like to see when all of the coaches are involved, all of the coaches are seen, because so often people focus on only the head coach, but so much goes on behind the scenes. And I like to see when all the other coaches and trainers and everyone is there, because especially for these type of competitions, it's a huge task for everyone. So
and Coach Hibbert did make the point that all of them are past students of Garvey Maceo, so it added to the kind of influence and passion that they had for success.
By the way, Lance, before the year is done,
we
should get the entire zone team on the set to show them off.
The entire zone team.
Yes, the production team included.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'd support that 100%.
Can you all do it before I go off? Because I have to be here.
Can you go off later?
No. No, break time.